Campfire multiple choice question.
What do you think about that, baby girl?
That was beautiful.
Well, I don't know if that's the word I would use.
Campfire question is back with multiple questions from Michael Starr. Michael asked this question through our Facebook page, which you can find at facebook.com/longlonghoneymoon.
Yes.
I think. Michael says, "Hi, we really enjoy your videos. My wife and I are contemplating buying an RV. Our wish is to travel the country 3 to 4 times a year for 3 to 4 weeks at a time. We're in our early 70s. I'm very mobile while my wife is not as mobile. I'm looking for a travel trailer RV with a slide out. Is the setup and teardown too physically challenging for people our age? What are your thoughts or advise?" As you get further along in life, the work involved with setting up and tearing down a campsite may become a little more difficult. When I look at travel trailers specifically, I think what's unique to a travel trailer, I suppose, is the whole hitching process. And unhitching is easy enough, but actually that process of hitching the travel trailer can be difficult for some people. One of these days in the very near future, I think this is going to be automated. I really think if we can have self-driving cars, self-parking cars, we're going to have a self-hitching RV rig. We just don't have it quite yet, but that technology cannot be far away. Yeah. But as far as dealing with the here and now, I guess I have to ask, have you ever hitched a travel trailer? Not only do you have to line up the ball and get it into the tongue, but if you have weight stabilizer bars, those things can be pretty heavy. And then there, of course, maybe an anti-sway bar that adds a little bit extra weight. So there's a little bit of work with the setup. And I mean, as far as teardown goes, I don't think tearing down the campsite from a travel trailer would be radically different from another type of RV, except you just got to hitch everything back up.
Yeah, I think it's really the hitching and unhitching. Is your wife mobile at all? Like, can she at least stand out and give you direction for like backing up and hitching? Or is it something you're going to have to do totally on your own? And if you are, maybe you need to decide if you're comfortable doing that or not. Because a lot of times I think that requires a lot of back and forth of you getting out of the truck, walking back, checking to see how things look. Even if you have a rear backup camera, those things are only so accurate, and you need to be standing right there to get a visual on it. Your personal experience hitching and unhitching, if you're willing to do it on your own, if you need to, can your wife help you in any way? All those are things that you need to consider. And maybe if you've never hitched before, maybe you should talk to somebody that has a rig that requires hitching. If you know anybody, whether it's a boat or an RV or, travel trailer or whatever, and maybe you go with them one time and watch them do it and see if it's something that you think you're willing to take on by yourself.
Of course, there are other options of RV than travel trailer that might be a little simpler for you. I mean, you may look at some of the camper vans and Class B RVs are really loaded, really nice, really comfortable.
Yeah. And also the small Class Cs are great too, because one thing that I think is great about those for older people especially is the fact that you don't have to get out of your rig to go back into the camping part. So if you're somewhere where you're stopping for the night and it's bad weather or whatever, you don't have to worry about getting out in rain, slick conditions, and getting into the travel trailer. You just climb out of your, seat up front into the living space. So that might be something that you need to consider as well. Do you need to be able to access the living quarters without getting outside of the rig? Because that could make a big difference if you're not very mobile.
There are certainly many people in their 70s who travel with travel trailers. There are others who choose to go to different types of RV that just don't have that hitching and unhitching process.
It really is your personal mobility. My dad is 80. He'll be 81 in March. He probably isn't happy I'm telling you all that. But he is in great shape, and he can get around and do whatever and climb over things and under things and around things, and it's no problem. But we have other family members that we know that are, in their early 70s, and they have a lot of mobility issues, and they couldn't hitch and unhitch an RV. They couldn't climb in and out of a travel trailer. I think you really need to go look at an RV sales facility, wherever that is, whether it's an RV show or a local dealer.
The other factor you need to consider if you're going to get a travel trailer would be backing your rig into a backup campsite. Now, quite often you can avoid being forced to back into a campsite by getting what's called a pull-through site, where you can literally just pull your RV rig straight through the site. And it really alleviates a lot of stress. Because you specifically mentioned that your wife is mobility challenged. Well, quite often when backing up a travel trailer, it's very helpful to have an extra set of eyes outside. Now, there are a lot of solo travelers out there who do back their travel trailers into sites without having outside help. But since we travel as a couple, we always help one another whenever we have to back up our trailer.
Yeah.
So that's something you need to consider. Is your wife mobile enough that she could, for example, walk around outside while you're backing up your rig? Or I guess conversely, would your wife feel comfortable backing up your rig into a campsite while you are the scout outside to provide that extra set of eyes to make sure that you don't back into an oak tree?
And if you aren't going to be able to have your wife's help backing up, are you comfortable enough backing up on your own? Do you have any experience backing a trailer? Because it's very different than backing up just a car or a Class B or a Class C RV, because you've got that pivot point in the middle, and if you've done it before, then the trailer is going to go the opposite direction that you turn your truck.
Yeah, with a travel trailer, you've got to think about hitching and you got to think about backing it up. Yeah. Which is a little more complicated than what you would find with a camper van, for example. And I have to say, there's some really nice camper vans that we've seen in recent years.
Climb in and out of them. Because you really don't know until you do it firsthand. So see what it's like climbing in and out of a travel trailer, because some of them are pretty high off the ground. That's a nice thing about a lot of motorhomes. They have steps that are lower and more secure. They have handrails inside, so you don't have as much chance of slipping and falling. It's a more sturdy step. So those sort of things might be things that you need to look into and consider.
So to tackle your next couple of questions, what are the costs to stay at full hookup parks, and are the rates and availability seasonal? As far as costs, it's kind of like asking, what is the cost of a hotel room? Yeah. Are you talking about a Motel 6? Or are you talking about the Waldorf Astoria? The cost of full hookup in an average campground, and I'm just talking about an average town in America, I would ballpark at between $35 and $45.
Yeah, I would say anywhere from $35 to $55, really just depending on how close they are to major attractions and that sort of thing. But, there are some places, like, for instance, Jackson, Wyoming, they have 2 full hookup RV parks in town, and both of those are over $100 a night during the peak season. And in the off season, they're still like $65 and $70 a night.
We know a great full hookup campground in Huntsville, Alabama that's like $20 a night. If you're going to Disney World, you're going to pay $100 a night.
But you can also stay about 15 minutes outside the parks and pay $30 a night for a full hookup. So it's really just where you're willing to stay and what sort of amenities you're looking for. You just need to shop around. All these RV parks, for the most part, have websites. Most of them are listed in online directories like Good Sam Club or the Trailer Life Guide. So you can check those and just sort of compare what's available and, go from there.
And as far as rates being seasonal, yes. The short answer is yes, because there are certain parts of the country, take the Florida Keys, for example, where rates will increase during the season, which is actually wintertime, when all the snowbirds go down to Florida. In the off season, those rates will typically drop.
which is actually summer for Key West because it's so incredibly hot there that time of year. Research the area you're visiting and learn what the peak season is. And the other question is, do you really want to go during the peak season? We usually try to avoid most places during peak season if possible, just because there's fewer crowds, the prices are less, there's fewer people that you have to contend with for the things to do and see in the area, wherever it may be.
And to tackle your final round of questions, we hear a lot of planning is required to visit the more popular national parks during peak seasons. Is this true? Yes and no. If you're wanting to specifically stay inside the national park in an RV campground, then yes, you need to do some planning and you need to book ahead. However, if you want to visit the national park and stay at, for example, a privately run campground near the park, you can typically do that, in almost like a walk-up basis in a lot of places.
I think it really depends on if you are willing to camp without hookups or not. Most national parks have a lot of walk-up availability where they don't take reservations, but all those campgrounds are normally dry camping. So you're not gonna have any hookups of any sort. No water, no power, no sewer. So if you're willing to camp in those sorts of conditions, then I think you usually can camp pretty easily in national parks without a reservation because most of those campgrounds are first come, first serve. The question is, are you willing to do that? And if not, then you do need to plan in advance so you can make a reservation for those campgrounds either in the park or outside of the park that have full hookups. Those are the ones that tend to go the fastest, and that's when you're going to see the season make a difference. If you're going to Yellowstone in July, that's when everybody else is going to Yellowstone. So it's going to be madness. If you go to Yellowstone in late September, then you'll probably not have any trouble at all.
You just might get snowed in.
Yeah.
So, all right, Michael Starr, thanks so much for the great series of campfire questions. We hope our answer has been a little bit helpful to you. If you have a question you would like to ask Sean and Christy on Long, Long Honeymoon, post a comment. We're always browsing your comments to find the next campfire question. If you're new here, please subscribe to our channel. And if you're old here, please make sure you're still subscribed to our channel because we're hearing some reports from people that they're becoming unsubscribed from our channel on YouTube. I don't know what's going on out there in YouTube algorithm land, but some funky things are happening with our subscription numbers. So we ask all of you guys to double check, make sure that you're subscribed, and make sure that if you want notifications, click that bell icon next to the subscription button.
Yeah, and something else that you might want to consider doing as well is signing up for our newsletter. We have no control over what YouTube or Facebook shows you in your feed. So you might not see us even though you are subscribed or you have liked our channel. Signing up for the newsletter ensures a way for us to directly contact you without relying on these social media platforms. It's really the best thing for us and for you if you sign up for it because it sort of guarantees that we'll be able to contact you and tell you, hey, there's a new video up.
All right, guys. Thanks once again. We will see you next time. For now, signing off, we say, lo lo ho. Ho ho ho. You know exactly what I'm going to say right now, so I'm not going to even say it. See you next time.